Everywhere we went, people treated energy availability as a given, Rui Ma wrote on X after returning from a recent tour of China's AI hubs. For American AI researchers, that's almost unimaginable. In the US, surging AI demand is colliding with a fragile power grid, the kind of extreme bottleneck that Goldman Sachs warns could severely choke the industry's growth. In China, Ma continued, it's considered a solved problem. Ma, a renowned expert in Chinese technology and founder of the media company TechBuzz China, took her team on the road to get a first-hand look at the country's AI advancements. She told Fortune that while she isn't an energy expert, she attended enough meetings and talked to enough insiders to come away with a conclusion that should send chills down the spine of Silicon Valley. In China, building enough power for data centers is no longer up for debate. This is in stark contrast to the US, where AI growth is increasingly tied to debates over data center power consumption and grid limitations, she wrote on X. The stakes are difficult to overstate. Data center building is the foundation of AI advancement, and spending on new centers now displaces consumer spending in terms of impact on US GDP. That's concerning since consumer spending is generally two-thirds of the pie. McKinsey projects that between 2025 and 2030, companies worldwide will need to invest $6.7 trillion into new data center capacity to keep up with AI strain. In a recent research note, Stifel Nicholas warned of a looming correction to the S&P 500 since it forecast this data center capital expenditures boom to be a one-off build-out of infrastructure, while consumer spending is clearly on the wane. However, the clear limiting factor to the U.S.'s data center infrastructure development, according to a Deloitte industry survey, is stress on the power grid. Cities' power grids are so weak that some companies are just building their own power plants rather than relying on existing grids. The public is growing increasingly frustrated over increasing energy bills. In Ohio, the electricity bill for a typical household has increased at least $15 a month this summer from the data centers, while energy companies prepare for a sea change of surging demand. Goldman Sachs frames this crisis simply. Quote, AI's insatiable power demand is outpacing the grid's decade-long development cycles, creating a critical bottleneck. Meanwhile, David Fishman, a Chinese electricity expert who has spent years tracking the country's energy development, told Fortune that in China, electricity isn't even a question. On average, China adds more electricity demand than the entire annual consumption of Germany every single year. Whole rural provinces are blanketed in rooftop solar, with one province matching the entirety of India's electricity supply. U.S. policymakers should be hoping China stays a competitor, not an aggressor, Fishman said, because right now they can't compete effectively on the energy infrastructure front. And that, yeah, and they go into the oversupply China has and the structural differences and all this sort of thing.